I'm Katrina, and this is Sow and Tare, and today I am painting. I've already done a bunch of stuff. Started off by cleaning the walls with TSP, it's trisodium phosphate, and basically I use a mop with a scrubber brush on one side and the mop part on the other, and dip it in the solution, put it on, turn the brush around, scrub, and then do a light off, and then rinse it like tons of times with a separate mop, and you have to get that stuff off, otherwise your primer and paint will not stick. So that's important. So what I'm doing right now, I have the ceiling all primed, the edges are primed, that's what this is. Now I had to do 2 layers on this because this wall does have color on it. For the other walls in the house, they are just like white or eggshell or whatever, and so I just did 1 layer, but you'll see when I do this why there's 2 layers. Now for time efficiency, I am going to go around just the upper part here and then come back to it, because I need to work on things differently, because the ceiling is going to be a different color than the wall, but I want to make sure I have enough room that, you know, when I roll the wall, I don't gonna hit the ceiling. So that is the goal right now. I'm just gonna kind of put this on I'm gonna speed it up, and you'll see, number 1, how different it is between this being 1 coat and then this is the 2 coats. I will come back and do the 2nd coat. I'm pretty much going to show you what's happening in this room, and we'll go from there. So I did have the primer already going, and when you stop the project, it's good to put it in a plastic bag. Put this in the refrigerator. You can pull off the roller and put it in the refrigerator, or you can just do the whole thing. Depends on, for me, it depends on if I need to put something back on here. Now I have 2 of these. This is the better quality one, but I do have 2 of these. So I think I'm going to be alternating between those and just leave this one with a primer for a while. But if you do that, get all the air out, put this in the refrigerator, it will last a very long time. So you can go from weekend to weekend if you want, or a few days, or even a few hours. Now, this primer is Kills 2, that's the name of it, and it basically dries in like half an hour and is ready to paint in an hour. So it's important to do this step. So here we go. I'm gonna fast forward through this. It is very, very handy to get a pole that is extendable, figure out what length you want, and put it there. And I think all paint rollers have the thing here where you can just screw it in, and that extends your reach. So that is what we're doing today. It's important not to overfill this tray, and if you use a liner, that's great. And then also, if you wipe the drips with your brush or with your roller, that is the best possible outcome. When you have your roller, you want to make sure you get off the excess, otherwise you're going to have drippies everywhere, or a very, very thick primer or paint. And so it's very important, especially when it's cold right out of the refrigerator. The first few, it's going to kind of be hard to warm up, and you might consider trying that in the middle of the wall instead of the edge when you have a cold roller. You can see how unevenly this goes on at first with a cold roller. It also happens with a new roller that hasn't been in any paint. It kind of has this uneven application, and then once you do more layers and more times in the paint, it'll be a little bit better. This is a close-up of 1 layer versus 2 layers, and it's pretty clear that there's more coverage when there's 2 layers. Here you can see I've edged on the top and then also on the inside of the window frame, but that other white stuff, that is basically the new drywall and new texture. So that needs the paint, or needs the primer as well. I was listening to YouTube videos and movies when I was doing this, so that's why there's not like real sound and we're doing voiceover, which is fine. Something to pay attention to by the windowsills. Number one, you want to go slow, and you want to make sure you don't have a whole bunch of paint or primer on your roller, because it will splatter onto the window. But then also, when you're going along the edge of the top of the window frame, some globs of paint can accumulate on that, so you just want to wipe them free before you finish up. This wall has kind of a funny story. All of this wall to the left is new drywall and new texture. They had to take off the drywall because when the house was being leveled, the wall was popping up off the floor. No one knew why. There's about 2.5 feet on the edge of this wall that apparently was added at one point. Once they took off the drywall, you totally see what happened. And because there was a settling crack in the foundation years and years and years and years and years ago, they added onto that wall. I'm guessing they closed off a door and then added an entryway next to that. And they made that level with the world, not level with the wall. So, interesting story there. Perfect sky is the color going on the ceiling. Pro tip, if the fan has been up for a while, clean the top of the blades so you don't get all dusty and dirty. And then also, make sure you don't drip down onto the blades and have it drip like over the edge. That's something that can happen. And depending on the height of your hand, this fan is the wrong fan. I need to change it out. But if there's a lot of room, you don't have to paint that far. And if there's a little bit of room, so the roller doesn't quite fit, then you need to paint out further. There are many tools available to help you with edging between a ceiling and a wall, or between two walls. And I actually did buy one. I've used them in the past, and I just decided to freehand it this time. It's helpful to have a brush that has an angle and that is not an old brush with bristles sticking everywhere. And I did a fairly good job. I went around first just with the brush to get the edge, and then I did the full width of the brush after that, so that I could make sure I have a buffer for my roller. So doing the border, to me, it doesn't matter if I go a little bit on the wall, because that's going to be a darker color in this particular room. So I just did it freehand. And then above the fan, you want to make sure that either you can get the roller above, or you go all the way to the edge of the fan, because otherwise you're going to have a heck of a time trying to turn those paddles as you're painting. Easy peasy, clean up easy. sure if I recorded any of this, but basically I did lines back and forth, and then afterwards I went back and kind of spot cleaned up. There was some areas that had a lot of white stuff poking through, and then I went in different directions. So I know the typical way of painting is supposed to be like in a W shape, and frankly on the ceiling it works better in this way. Works better for me. So that's what I did, and I changed it up and did that afterwards. Part of the challenge of using a paint that's supposed to be one coat, I can tell you for sure at least one other room was not one coat. It was needed 2 coats for sure, but I would kind of call this 1.5 coats. But when you put on the paint, you do need to put it on thicker, and if you put it on thin, it's going to need a second coat in those places. Okay, time to paint over my oops or prime over my oops and do the second layer of priming. Now keep in mind while I'm doing this, I'm in between the wall and a couch, so I have very limited kind of stretching power. And then also notice the difference between 1 and 2 coats of primer. Now this wall here is the one that has new drywall and new texture, and those features are going to soak up extra primer. So you're going to want to put it on a little bit thicker. You're going to probably do a second coat, even if you did a first coat for the rest of the room. And that's just kind of the way it is with new drywall and texture. So now we're going back to the first wall for a second coat of primer. Time for my main color, Unimaginable, and it's a great color. I will be painting that edge along the corner there. Later, it's going to be a brownish reddish color, like the brick. So I used frog tape in all my taping. That's the green tape. Sometimes it comes in different colors. It can become in green or blue is typical. But that tape comes off easy, and it's made for painting. It's made for kind of like the temporary good stick. And as you can see, I am edging freehand again. It worked out pretty well. Only a few oopses. The roller is almost the same color as the paint. I really like using these bins for several things. I put the bucket inside of it when I was cleaning, so to prevent splashing and dripping. And I put here for the paint, and I believe they're made for cement mixing. Pretty good. Nearly the same color. It takes time to saturate new rollers, so your first few I recommend doing in the middle of a wall, because you're going to want to end up kind of filling in the blanks of it. Okay, I thought I recorded this and apparently I didn't. When I use a roller, and I'm going to use it again, but of the same color, like this is the primer, I actually put a bag, so pretend like the roller's still on here. I put a bag over it, I grab the roller, and then I hold on to this part and pull. And that way you very cleanly get the roller into a bag that you can use later. So key for this is to put it in the refrigerator, and it's actually like rolled around a little bit in the refrigerator. That's why there's so much primer on here. But when it's time to use it, you just open it up and slide it back on. And you don't even have to touch the roller itself. So, and it's on. Make sure it's on good. And then I seal this bag up, save it for if I'm going to use it again. This is the same primer I've been using for the whole house. So far I've done 3 rooms with it. So I'm going to use it for pretty much the rest of the house. Well, the rest of this series. It's not a series. I have several rooms that flooring is going to go in, and then I'm going to be painting more rooms. But so after this paint splurge is done, I will probably throw this one out and use a different one for the next time. But at least for tonight, I'm going to put it back in this bag and back in the refrigerator. Doesn't have to go in the refrigerator for like if it's just a day, but it just keeps things fresher. And then when you use this again, it's going to take a while for it to really retain the paint or the primer, because one, it's cold, and that kind of, it does have primer in it or paint in it. And so that kind of like holds it in place. So it does have to kind of warm up. You might set it out for a little bit outside the refrigerator before you put it on. But then what I suggest you do is start in the middle of a wall, and you're going to go over that several times anyway. So you're not doing precision work when it's right out of the refrigerator. So it will warm up, it will be better, and go from there. Another tip when choosing your colors is to take the paint swatches, especially if you're have a color next to a color or a color above a color like this, put them at the angle that they're going to be at in the lighting that they're going to be in, and you'll be amazed at how colors can change and affect the way each other look. My old house had a blue ceiling in the living room, but it looked gray because of my green walls. So I made sure to do that in the store before I got the paint, is to literally put the paint samples as if one was a ceiling and one was a wall, and to see if it worked. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you share it with a friend and have fun painting if you haven't painted before. It gives you some confidence to use color. Color, guys. No boring walls here. All right. Thank you for watching. Hit that like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.